Good evening, everyone. I hope you're here for the Snowflake Wishes class. We are going to be creating 4 different cards with the Snowflake Wishes stamp set. If you subscribe to my email newsletters, then you were one of the first to know that you could get a kit that had the supplies for all 4 of these cards. So if you're watching tonight and you're really sad that you didn't get a kit, be sure you subscribe, and that way you will be alerted when we have our next kit available. But those that got their kits also received this PDF tutorial, and it has the full color pictures of each card that we'll be making, as well as all of the measurements and the step-by-step instructions. So if you would like this, I do have these available for sale on my blog, thestampdoc.com. Just check under the PDF tutorials tab, and you can get one of those for just $15. So it does have all of your measurements and all of the supplies that you'll need to make these cards. Okay, so if you're new to me, what I'm going to ask you to do is just leave a comment below and say hi and introduce yourself. For those that are new, my name is Melissa, and I blog as The Stamp Doc, and I've been a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator for almost 19 years. So tonight I'm just going to show you some really simple cards that we're going to make. These are really quick and easy, so that you're also going to be able to do those if you have some other similar paper at home, or you can do these in just a completely different color scheme if you want to. But these are quick and easy and just a lot of fun to do. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to grab my first one. Now when I send our packets out, I put each card in a Whisper White envelope just like this, and all of the supplies for that card are inside. I'm going to go ahead and dump all of that out. I've already die cut all of the little snowflakes as well. So we are going to be making this card right here. Okay. And I'm going to start by laying out my papers first. Let me just put those on there. And we do have some stamping to do. Now, one of the things I like to do is I like to use the little foam pad. This, especially when you're doing with the photopolymer stamps, it just gives you a really good impression for doing your stamping. So I'm going to grab the Snowflake Wishes stamp set, and we're going to use the little greeting that says Snowflake Wishes for a Merry Christmas. See, I often will leave additional die cuts in here just so that I have some of those. I'm going to pull that off. I know I've got a block over here somewhere. There it is. Okay, so this one's a little long. I'm going to put it diagonally on my block there. I'll just set this aside. Now, I did recommend 3 different ink pads for this, and you could use all 3 of these if you want it, or you could even use just one of them if you want it. So I'm using Balmy Blue, Pacific Point, and Misty Moonlight on my cards. But if you've even got like a Night of Navy or an older blue, you could easily use that too and substitute it out. But for this one, I'm going to use Pacific Point, and I'm going to open up my ink pad, slide that into place. And we're going to do this little bit that says Snowflake Wishes. And just stamp that straight down. So mine's a little crooked, but that's okay. And I'm going to just cut right up the center here. I want to make a banner end on that. And if I just cut right straight up the center, then I can go from the corner to that. Now if you have the banner punch, that works great too, but I'm really trying to keep this with minimal supplies for you so that everyone can do this. All right, let me go ahead and close up my ink pad, and let me just show you how I clean my stamps. So I use the Simply Chamois that we carry, and mine looks really gross and yucky, but it still works. But you just want to keep that moist and wet, and then just run your stamp over that, and that cleans your stamp just perfectly. So that's all it takes to keep that clean. Now I put mine in a clear stamp case. We do sell those, so you can get a package of those if you like. And they're good for storing other things as well. All right, so I'm ready to put my pieces in place. So I am going to use the multi-purpose liquid glue. And I like it for this type of a project because we're using these different pieces of designer series paper, and I like to have a little wiggle room. So I've designed all of these with the card measurements so that you do have like a border around each little piece. I'm just going to put that in place there, and we'll do the same here. You could also use another adhesive, but like I said, this one just gives me a little bit more wiggle room. And so if I don't get it perfectly straight, I can kind of wiggle that around. So that worked out well. And I'm going to do this on the bottom. And all of this paper is from the Snowflake Splendor Designer Series paper pack. I did check, and everything that I'm showing here tonight, all of the supplies are still in stock. Most of them are going to be retiring. So if you see something here you really like, make sure you get that on your next order. And then I'm going to take my little stamped piece. I'm going to put it in place. I guess I could have cut that a little shorter, but it's okay. Do it as long. My original one's a little long or a little shorter. This one's a little longer. It's okay either way. I'm going to put a little bit of that multi-purpose glue on my snowflakes. I'm going to put the bigger one down here, and then I've got two little ones also. So I'm going to put one up here, and let's see, I'm not sure what happened to my other one. There it is. And I'm sure that's going to happen to some of you that are doing these at home. So I was working today on some of our card kits that are going to be available with the new catalog, and I think that might be our project for January to do this. So if you want to have, just some stamping fun and create some cards with me, this is a great way to get all of these supplies and be able to do them just like I am. And then I'm just going to put that on my Whisper White card base. And we have our first card down. So just to let you know, the glitter snowflakes, these were die cut with the, let me see, it's called the Snowflake Wishes bundle. But this is the balmy blue glimmer paper, and this is on sale right now for $2.50. So that's a great buy, something that you might want to get a hold of. So, and I love this type of card too, because this allows you to use all of your little paper scraps, and you're just kind of putting those in a neat little way. All right, so I'm going to set that one aside, and we'll see what our next card is. And I'm going to pull that out of the envelope. So this is another one that's very much like that last one, where I'm using a lot of card scraps. So this is the one we're doing here. So I'm going to go ahead and just lay all of this out. So I have my snowflakes here and all of our papers. So we are going to stamp on these two little papers and also this one. So on this one I use the Misty Moonlight stamp pad. It looks like I'm making a mess, doesn't it? All right, and I'm going to get the stamp that says May Your Seasons Sparkle. And let me find it. There we go. Okay, I'm going to put that on my block. And that's going to be stamped on this piece here, I believe. Okay. So one of the things that you often don't think about is just stamping on your designer series paper directly. But if it's a lighter shade, stamping a darker greeting on top of that's really a neat way to get a look. So I did this one kind of at an angle. I'm just going to stamp straight down on that. And we have this May Your Season Sparkle. Okay. I'm going to clean this stamp, and then I want to get a little snowflake stamp out. And there's lots of snowflakes in this stamp set. I mean, there's just tons of them. But we're going to use this one that has multiple snowflakes. And again, we're going to just stamp those in that Misty Moonlight ink directly on these little white panels. I'm going to do that on both of these. Okay. Get that put up, get that cleaned real quick. That way we can move on to our next little thing. So you can use any adhesive with these projects. I'm going to go ahead and use my seal adhesive on the back of these white pieces, and we're layering them onto balmy blue cardstock. So again, when I send these kits out, all of this is already pre-cut for you, so you don't have to do any of the prep work or anything. All of that's done for you. You just show up and stamp and adhere your projects. So we're going to do both of those. All right. And then this one is a lot like the other one, where we're kind of putting together a puzzle. And I also want to use some dimensionals on this. So my 3 adhesives of choice are the dimensionals, the multi-purpose adhesive, and the snail. So I'm going to start with this one. And I'm going to use, again, that multi-purpose adhesive because, again, the wiggle room is important. So I did design this so that all of the pieces will have a little border around them. So I'm going to put the top left and the bottom right piece on. And then I want to put this piece. It's going to go right next to this one. And again, I might need to move that one down a little bit. Move that one up. Just, like I said, wiggle them a little. They're not where you want. I got that one a little crooked, but it's going to be okay. And then I'll do this one up here. And then these I put on with the dimensionals. So I'm just going to add 2 to that. And we'll put him here. And we've got 2 over here. And get those little backings off. This time of year, you see those all over my house. All right, so then I'm going to take this cute little panel that we have like this, and I'm going to put that on a balmy blue layer. So again, I'm just using that multi-purpose adhesive. I'm going to layer that on the balmy blue. And then we're going to do that again onto the card base, which is Misty Moonlight, which is really probably one of my favorite in colors this year. It's a little softer than the Night of Navy, and so it's a really pretty look. So next I'm going to put my snowflakes on. So I've already die cut these for you, but I'm going to put a dimensional on the back of the white one, and I'm just going to put it right over here. I'm going to put a tiny bit of glue on this one, the little glimmer one. And then one of the things that was included in the packet are these beautiful blue adhesive gems. And these are still available through Stampin' Up. They're not on sale, but they're very pretty. And you just want to add one of those gems to that. You could certainly add more if you want it, but just a very cute little card that uses up a lot of your little scraps that you may have laying around. All right. So I want to take a moment just to ask you, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure you do that before you leave today. I want to make sure you get any updates on my future classes. So we're going to do this card next, and let me pull my envelope here. Oh, wrong one. Let me get the other envelope. All right. So on this one, we have our greeting in Pacific Point, and I'm going to stamp that first. So and that greeting says, "In the coldest moments of the year, my heart is warm because you're near." So that might not be great for this year. You might want to switch it out for a different saying for this year, especially if you are like me and you don't get to be with your family this year. But I'm going to stamp that towards the left of this piece of Whisper White cardstock. And let me clean this one because we're going to use it again. We're going to use our block again here. And then I want to do a really light snowflake. So like I said, there's a ton of snowflakes in this particular thing. So I'm going to put that on my block. And I'm going to stamp that in Balmy Blue. And I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. As I'm doing that, I need to do some stamping off on this project. So I'm going to use one of my envelopes for this. So I'm going to stamp this in Balmy Blue, and I'm going to stamp it off on my envelope. And so now I've already decorated my envelope, and it's ready to go in the mail. So I'm going to take this piece then, and now that that's going to be that lighter shade of blue, I'm going to do that right over that. And so what you get is this shadow effect. It just lets that stand out a little bit more. So I'm hoping you can see that pretty well. There it goes into focus. That's a little better. Okay. So then we just want to fill in the rest of this with some other little stamps. So again, so many little snowflakes in this. So I'm going to do a couple more. This one I'm going to do in Balmy Blue at full strength. So even though now I'm using the same ink pad, it's going to look different because I'm doing that one in a darker shade of that same blue. So this is a great way that, if you've only got a few stamp pads, you can definitely get different shades of blue just by stamping off a couple of times. So, don't be afraid that, you can only use one ink pad with this. You could definitely do several different ones. So let me get this little one here. I think he stands out pretty well. And we're going to do him in the Misty Moonlight. And if you wanted to stamp any of these off, you could do that. But really, each one of these is going to look different than the next one. So you don't want them all to look the same. They're going to be like a snowflake. And then there's a teeny tiny little splatter one that I think is adorable. So I'm going to bring it in. And I didn't do it on this one, but I think I will just add a few of those in there. And just do those randomly. Don't even worry about where they go. You just want to fill that piece of cardstock in with all those little snowflakes and just those variations of blue. So even though I used 3 shades of blue on that, you could use even just one if you wanted to, just by stamping off and getting different shades there. All right, so we're going to take that and put it over there. Let me clean that one and get this out of my way. And it is time to do some gluing. So I'm going to go ahead and put this piece on, and you can use either side that you like. I think I'm going to do this one a little bit different than the other one, so don't be afraid to use the other side of the paper from what I've done here, because they're all going to look good. All of these colors coordinate with each other. All right, get that layered on there. And then I'm going to layer my blue piece on. So this is mainly Pacific Point is the main color here. And I'm hoping I don't run out of snail adhesive before our class is up now. All right, so I've got that layered on there, and then I'm going to layer this final piece. And then we have a great big snowflake we're going to add on here. So I'm going to start with this big blue one, and I'm going to put it on first with a dimensional. So I'm just going to put one dimensional right there on the center. And we're going to put him over here. And then I'm going to offset this white one. So I'm going to put some adhesive on that. There's that, and then we'll do a little bit of adhesive on this one. Now if you got a kit, not only did you get those gems, but you also got some ribbon, and on our final card we're going to use both of those. But you could definitely embellish any of these cards with more of the ribbon or the little gems. So, feel free to get creative with that. And I'm just going to add that little gem right there to the center. And there is my completed card. So pretty quick and easy. All right. And for my final card, we have just a really simple one. And this one is great because if you just have some beautiful designer series paper, you can let that be the star of the show. There's no need to really, go over the top with that. So for this card, all I did stamping wise was just stamp the greeting. So I'm going to grab that. Let me find him. Okay, and this one says, "Our friendship is one of a kind." And I'm going to ink that up. Now I use the stitch shapes and the ovals die to die cut these. And I'm going to use the Misty Moonlight to stamp the greeting. And we're just going to stamp that right in the middle. Okay, I'll set that back aside. And then I'm going to go ahead and layer that onto my oval, my scallop oval here. And I think that just gives it a much more finished look. And then let me show you this gorgeous Snowflake Splendor ribbon. So this has almost an iridescent shine to it. It's just really very pretty. It catches the light and just has lots of different little colors twinkling in it. It's absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to show you my little trick for tying a bow. And it's kind of a trick for that. But I'm going to go ahead and adhere my designer series paper to this Misty Moonlight layer. So I want to have that done first. All right. So when I do my in-person classes, I have a lot of customers that don't like tying bows. And I don't always like to tie bows either. It's really hard sometimes to get that perfect bow like this. I can do it, but I can usually do it best if someone's not watching me. So a lot of times in my classes, I'll actually tell people just to do it in a knot because that's going to look just as well. So the way I measure my ribbon out, if I'm going to do a bow, I take 4 times the length of the card, or the width of this particular card. And that's how much ribbon I will use if I'm going to tie a bow around the card. Now, if I'm only going to tie it in a knot, I do 3 times the length of that card. So that's what I'm going to do on this one. So I'm just going to do a simple little knot, and you'll see that that looks just as nice as the bow. And the person that gets this is not going to know the difference. So I'm just going to take that, and it's really like tying your shoe. You're just going to go over and under again. So I'm just doing a double knot. Now when I get almost to tying that, I like to get it so that the cardstock bends just a tiny bit, so that when I do release that, it'll lay a little flatter. And that way the ribbon's not super loose and, you know, all over that. Now, if you want to kind of jazz that up a little bit, just cut another small piece of that ribbon and do another double knot like right next to it. So this is perfect for people that don't want to mess with the bow. If you don't want to mess with the bow, just do a couple of those and you've got a cute little ribbon accent. So I'll show that to you close up here in a moment. And I'm just going to trim those ends down. Okay. So when I do any type of ribbon on my card, like on the back there, I don't like to put adhesive on there. It kind of makes that buckle a little bit. So I'm going to do some dimensionals to adhere that to the card base. So I'm just going to put 4 on there. I'm going to put 1 in each corner. And then 1 right in the middle. And dimensionals are cheap. You get 300 for $4. Use them up. All right, so I have my card base here. I'm going to put that right on there. And then I'm going to take my oval and I'm going to put dimensionals on that because I want that to pop up over the ribbon too. It's just really hard to adhere something flat over a ribbon, so keep that in mind. If you can use the dimensionals over a ribbon, it's going to lay a lot nicer for mailing or for giving it to someone. Okay, I'm going to just kind of move those over a little bit. So we got our little fringe here with that. And then I just added a bunch of these little gems to some of the centers of this paper. So just, you know, do those randomly, however you like. Use them up. You know, I like to hoard them a lot of times, but we should really be using them. We buy them, we should use them. So let me put another one there. And just so you know, that Snowflake Splendor ribbon, I believe that's on sale for 50% off right now too. So that's another awesome buy that, you know, you might want to look at. Okay. And so there is my finished card. And you can see we've got that nice little ribbon trim on there. Okay. So again, if you don't want to tie a bow, just, you know, do a couple simple knots on there and you'll get a great effect too. All right. So that's all I have for you tonight. There's 4 cards that you should have made. And if you want the tutorial for this, again, it is available on my blog. I do charge just $15 for those. There is a lot of measurements in it, and those that are buying the class kits are paying for that as well. So I hate to just give that for free, but so hopefully you enjoy this. And if you did, be sure to give me a thumbs up. Be sure to say hi in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe before you leave. Have a great week.